And welcome to the Rob Call Bottom Up Show, available on Progressive Radio Network and Pacifica Radio Network and SoundCloud and Stitcher and at opednews.com/podcasts and on YouTube. My guest for this show is Shelly Golden. She is a Zoom makeover expert. She is a certified color consultant, and she's a personal branding image consultant. Her website is shellygoldenstyle.com. Shelly, it's great to have you on the show.
It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So everybody's on Zoom now, and what a topic you've got here: how to do a Zoom maker, how to be better at Zoom. So, what are the three biggest tips that you can give?
The three biggest tips. First of all, you want to take up the entire center third piece of real estate. I call this your painting. In your painting, you want to take up the entire center third with your head really close to the top. You want to have light on both sides of your face so that the lighting is even, left and right. And also, you want to wear a different color piece of clothing than your background. Those are the top three pieces of advice. I can elaborate more, but those are the top three.
And what are the biggest mistakes that people make?
The biggest mistake people make is really not having enough lighting. That's really the big thing. I mean, how many times have you gone on Zoom or Teams or WebEx, whatever your platform is, and you see people are in the dark, and it doesn't feel good, or maybe half of their face is in the dark, or maybe they're sitting in front of an open window and they're in the dark and all you see is this bright light behind them. So that's the biggest mistake people make. Another mistake people make is, kind of like what's the top three pieces of advice, is that they're not kind of really taking up the space in the middle. Maybe they're down in the corner. I've been on calls where literally you see this floating, I call it a floating head syndrome, this floating head down in the corner of their box. And it doesn't feel good. And what I aim to do when I'm working with clients is to increase your engagement with people, or how people engage with you, to improve your rapport and really elevate your brand. And what I aim for is that it just feels like you and I are sitting across the table chatting.
Okay.
That's what I aim for, which is not necessarily that easy. It's simple little things, but so many people that you're on Zoom with, it doesn't feel that way. And that's what that's where I aim to go.
So what are some of the components or parameters involved in making you feel more like you're sitting across the table from each other chatting?
Okay, again, so it's really good lighting. So here's how I tell my clients how to position themselves, or how much of their body should be shown, because it really doesn't matter what you're wearing underneath. So if you, as I often say, take your hands, squish your fingers together and put it vertically on top of your head, you might want to see just a couple fingers. Don't scrunch down, keep sitting up straight. You want to see a couple of fingers in the picture and a couple fingers out of the picture. So you see as much of me as possible. And also another way to position yourself, if you take your thumbs, kind of put it under your armpits, and if you could see your thumbs in your hands, you're in a good place. And the reason that you want to be able to see this amount of your torso, not just head and shoulders, is so that people can read your nonverbal cues. Because that's really what we're missing on Zoom. If you and I were just sitting at the table having a conversation, glass of wine, cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever it may be, you and I would be able to read our nonverbal cues. If I were talking and you wanted to come in and say something, you might tap your foot or move your fingers, but I don't see that. So I need to be able to read all of the nonverbal cues, literally from your armpits up, leaning in, kind of trying to catch my attention. And this way, you get a better feel for me of what I'm intending to say when I'm intending to speak, and
Now,
how I'm positioning myself.
okay. So, but the main thing you're saying is light is the most important thing.
Yep, that's it.
So what do you use right now? What are you using you've got great light on you, great color. I've got a light. I've got a couple different lights I'm using, but I'm coming through kind of green.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And my light keeps changing because my light outside keeps changing. So I have a couple of different pieces of advice. So right now, I have 4 lights on me.
4. Okay.
4. I have 2 on the right, 2 on the left. You know, it's just kind of, this wasn't the intention to set up a studio. I have just like a desk lamp, and I'm a color consultant. And so when I do people's colors, I have what I call just, it's a full spectrum light that has all the full spectrum of colors. And then I have on one side, I have a ring light. But what I do is I put lined paper, just notebook paper, over my light to diffuse the light. And I always make sure the light is warm. And my other light that I'm going to show you, I'm going to turn it off. This is my secret trick, is I put fuchsia and yellow Post-its over my lights to not only diffuse the light, but by putting fuchsia and yellow Post-its over your lights, when you combine those 2 colors, it's peachy color. And that's what makes my skin tone look more natural.
Wow. And you're not doing anything that costs a lot of money. You haven't spent $2,000 or $4,000 on special lighting. You've got
fuchsia and Post-it.
$100 worth of lighting there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, not expensive. Now, what about your camera?
Right now, I am using, I'm just using the camera in my monitor. It just happens to be a very good camera. And so that works really well for me.
It stopped working. I can hear you, but it stopped showing your picture. You're frozen.
I'm frozen.
There you go. Now
okay.
We're good. So,
right.
Okay, so this is not something that you have to spend a lot of money on at all.
No.
I mean, no. I think I figured it out. I'm basically in my dining room, and I've got an overhead light over the table that has green tints to it. So that's why I'm looking green.
Right.
So yeah.
So as a certified color consultant, so the light coming off your monitor, light coming off everybody's monitor, gives you kind of a bluish coloring.
Okay.
And so to compensate, you know, which of course makes everybody look washed out, and nobody really wants to look that way. So by putting fuchsia and yellow Post-its over your lights, you're compensating, and it's just a cheap, easy hack. Also, you know, if you're using dining room lights and you happen to have a very short haircut like you do, like extra short haircut, you want to be very aware of lights shining down that might create shiny spots on your head, which I don't see right now.
Well, I've got all the light is in front of me. There's nothing above me or behind me. And I know that I do a lot of interviews, and one of the things that I find is the most problematic is when people have light behind them. That's the worst.
Yeah. On the other hand, I have 2 lights, one on this cabinet and another one half on the cabinet, half on this plant.
Huh.
So it's really important to have your background also well lit, so it doesn't look like you're in a room that's all dark behind you. Because one of the things I try to do to really increase engagement in how you're perceived is so that you're in the foreground, but you could also see whether some people have a midground and a background, but you get perspective of what room they're in, even if they're in have a virtual background. So by being able to see the background is really important. And one of the things that I do is I try to create subliminal lines to help people focus on you.
Okay, so we need to do a brief show ID, and then we're going to talk about subliminal lines in Zoom session. Whoa,
Right.
almost multi-dimensional here.
That's it.
So we need to take 20 seconds of silence so I can plug in the bumpers for the radio show. And my guest for the show is Shelly Golden. She is a Zoom makeover expert, telling us how to come off better on Zoom. She's a certified color consultant and a personal branding image consultant. And her website is shellygoldenstyle.com. So, what is this subliminal lines now?
Okay. So I lived in Amsterdam for 10 years. And when I lived there, I studied European art, in particular, the Dutch masters and the Impressionists. And the Dutch masters, and not the Impressionists, but they showed you where they want you to look. That's what artists, they show you with lighting, where they want you to look. So even like, for example, the girl with the pearl earring, you know, Vermeer wanted you to look at the pearl earring. So that's what I do with aiming to have people look at my eyes. So if you can actually see this interview, I can show you that I have 2 diagonal lines all pointing to my eyes. So on my lower right, I have my branding on a rectangular plane. And then on my upper left, I have a painting that's also a rectangular plane. And my eyes are in the middle of these 2 diagonal, right in the diagonal of these 2 rectangular planes, which you see on my face. I also have another diagonal line. I have some little round flowers on my lower left side, and my new, thank God, lightweight little round glasses, my Zoom glasses. And then I have another circle over here in the edge of my cabinet, and that's another diagonal that you see these little circles, and that these 2 lines intersect pretty close to my eyes. So I'm forcing you to look at my face.
And you also got the lines of the sofa behind you that runs right to your face as well. So yeah. So the idea is to really think about what you're sitting in front of when you're at the Zoom session.
Right. Right. You want to quite often when people are just even against a white wall, which happens so often, I quite often say, why don't you just put a plant on either your lower or left or right side, and maybe like some picture on the wall. So therefore, you're creating some sort of diagonal that people will be forced to look at you in. And it's pleasant. Like, you have a plant behind you. People like plants and flowers. It calms us down. It gives some nice character and creates context. And so by putting a plant or some flowers in your box, as I call it, really adds to helping people increase engagement because they want to be drawn into you. And this way, how you're perceived has been elevated and your brand is elevated.
Right.
I know.
Okay. So you talk about colors now. Okay. Now I before we started, I told you that I changed from a black jacket to my navy blue jacket, and you explained to me, enlightened me that doesn't make a difference. Navy blue looks black on Zoom. So
Right.
what should one do? What should one wear?
Okay, so you should not wear white and you should not wear black. Why is that? 2 reasons. First of all, the cameras pick up white and light. So whatever is white and light will come to the foreground, and that'll be the very first thing people see when they're looking at you in your box. So if you're wearing white, people will notice that white. The camera will adjust the brightness based on the white, whether it's the white wall, the white light behind you, the white clothing you have on, and it'll darken everything to adjust for that white. So if you wear white, your face will no longer be the first thing people notice. It'll be the white. By wearing black, you actually just recede to the background. Then the black just kind of blacks out everything, and you're then a floating head. But in your case, you've got this great, beautiful blue and white striped sweater on. So that blue is capturing my attention and really helping me look at your body. So sometimes I say, if you wear like a white top underneath, just a small white top, it captures your eye just enough that you look at my face and my torso. And that's what I want you to look at. That's how to help you increase engagement with me. So by wearing black, you're going to just recede to the background.
So if I had a light blue jacket on and a white shirt, that would be okay.
Yeah.
And I understand you don't want to wear stripes.
I would stay away from patterns, busy, big patterns. Solid colors are better, or maybe little small patterns are okay. But like you have a striped sweater on. I don't know if it's a sweater or shirt, whatever. I'm not sure what it is. But if it's a single stripe here and another single stripe down there, that's okay. But if you have busy stripes, it's distracting. And that's basically what we're trying to do. We're trying to eliminate all the distractions, the light distractions, the color inbounds distractions, so people can focus on you. And so by wearing solid colors, like I would again, not white, not black, but be careful of the dark colors. Like you've got the navy blue on, but it looks black to me. The camera picks up light and dark.
Any tips on a camera?
What was that?
Any tips on a camera?
I don't have any particular tips on cameras. Logitech seem to be really great. People can zoom in on them, and that's really nice. Sometimes you don't want to see the whole room. There are many cameras out there, but I always seem to hear really great things about the Logitechs.
Now,
they were out of stock for a long time.
What's interesting is my computer camera sucks. I mean, it's just, for the video, I just switched and you can see the difference. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got a camera, a USB camera that sits on top of my computer, and it's way better in terms of its clarity. But your lighting is so much better. I hadn't realized that mine was green before, and now I'm going to work on seeing how I can figure out how to get. I'm going to get those fuchsia and yellow Post-it notes to put on a light there. That'll help.
I do have one more little trick. It's not really a trick. It's something new that Zoom has built into their program. But Zoom updated about 3 months ago. And so in this update, not everybody's updated. So you'll want to check for this. I'll just talk it through. At the bottom left of your Zoom screen, there's a little icon that looks like a movie camera. And underneath it, it says stop video. Don't click on that, but click on the little up caret next to it. And then you'll get a menu. And if you click on video settings, you'll see a picture of yourself with some boxes that you can check. So the new bonus that Zoom has built in is a little box that says adjust for low light. There you go. If you click that box, then you have the option to do auto or manual, and you have a slider. And even during this interview, Rob, I've been moving that slider the whole time as the light changes outside my window here. There you go. So that's the bonus for early morning meetings or meetings when it's getting a little bit dark, when it's darker outside. Now we're, thank God, past the solstice and we're getting lighter every day. But I have to tell you, it's been a rough one. You know, that.
And what about using these virtual backgrounds? What do you think about them?
So that's actually a huge discussion that I talk to a lot of people about. And there's a lot of mixed feelings. Some people really need a virtual background. You know, they're in a space, they've got kids running around, they've got animals, they're in their kitchen, they're in their garage, because that's the place that they're relegated to, since we're all, not everybody's working from home, but so many of us are working from home now.
I would imagine that a virtual background is the kind of thing that you can hire somebody to do relatively inexpensively at Fiverr, Fiverr.com, something like that.
Yes, you can. All right, I have a couple pieces of advice on virtual backgrounds. First of all, a lot of people are moving away from virtual backgrounds because it increases your credibility if they could see where you are, if you're in an acceptable place.
Okay.
It just increases trustworthiness. And that's really what we're craving now, depending upon who you are and what your business is. That's number one. I highly advise not having a gray background, and I would not have a bright background. I would not have anything that moves. No penguins, no palm trees, no people, no dogs running on the beach, because it's distracting. And we're trying to eliminate all the distractions so people can focus on you.
Now, when I go on TV, and I do get on TV occasionally, they usually put up a background of like a cityscape,
Mm-hmm.
like skyscrapers or something like that.
But we're used to seeing that. That's something that we are used to seeing. And also, if you have, it's we're trying to eliminate distractions. So if this is something we're used to seeing, it's not so distracting. Oh, there you go. There's your cityscape.
Yeah.
So it becomes benign. But if you're going to have a virtual background made with your logo on it, so how do you know where to position? So I've seen people and they put kind of like these banners, they put their logo name all over the place. You don't need that on Zoom. I would have it in one place. And how do you know where to put it? So if you lift up your hands, kind of like, okay, like I give up, don't shoot. And that's where your hands are. That's where your logo would want to be. But you only need one. So in other words, you want it at eye level, either left or right of your eye, like to one side.
Okay.
And that, because that's eye level, it's, if you have it just once, people get it. They see what your company is. You don't need to have it all over the place.
Okay. So you talk about that there's a Zoom specific makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. For men or just for women?
Well, I mean, it would be fine for men, for those men who wear makeup.
Okay.
If you're on television, chances are you've been made up a little bit, to get rid of the shine. So what you do not want is, you don't want anything. Okay, it's different if you're light skinned versus if you're dark skinned. That's what I've learned. For people who are light skinned, women who are light skinned, your eyes are important, but they're not quite as important. What you want is, you want to have, try to create a bullseye on your face. So you're showing people where you want them to look. Again, you want them to look at your face. So whether you have glasses with rims on them, or you might want to pencil in your eyebrows so people can actually see your eyebrow. And that acts as the top part of your bullseye. Also, if you wear lipstick, not necessarily dark lipstick, but lipstick that's colored, and this is not street makeup, people will be able to watch your lips and see you speak. So that's kind of a bonus, especially if the sound kind of goes out for it, like, as I call it, a little nano blip. The sound goes out and people will be able to watch your lips as they speak. Then I
So,
have,
so are you wearing your Zoom glasses? Did you get these glasses for Zoom?
yes, these are my computer glasses.
Okay, and the lipstick, is that lipstick you got with Zoom in mind?
Oh no, this lipstick's so old, I can't even tell you how old it is. I'm using up all my old makeup while I'm on Zoom.
But you're putting it on where you might not ordinarily.
I always wear lipstick.
Yeah.
I'm a lipstick girl. But
Okay.
what I do that's different than street makeup is how I create the illusion of higher cheekbones and getting rid of the unineck look. Because let's face it, this is a two-dimensional platform. You know, in my painting, this is two-dimensional. So to create the illusion of depth in 3 dimension, I literally take my blush and my bronzer and draw a line around my chin and kind of pull it underneath my chin a little bit so that there's a bit of a shadow under my chin. So you can actually see that there's my face, there's my chin and my neck. Because otherwise you get the unineck look, you know, you just kind of all blend in together. And it helps people feel a little more 3 dimensional. Also, by putting your blush around the apple of your cheek as opposed to on the apple of your cheek, it creates the illusion of higher cheekbones. Again, because the camera picks up white and light first and brings it to the foreground. So you want to literally draw a darker line around the apple of your cheek.
Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left. Anything you want to wrap up with?
Well, the one thing that I really try to impose to teach people is that this is how people perceive you. You know, you want to straighten up your mess. And working from home, you know, you don't want to lower your brand. You know, people had a preconceived idea of who you are, your brand, how you present yourself to the world. And this is a really great opportunity to lift that up by showing people that you take a little extra care in how you present yourself in your box, what you wear, your background, and how you light yourself up. It's an added time that we can lift ourselves up, lift our brand up, and also help connect with each other.
It amazes me that people will set themselves up in front of a unmade bed.
I get it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't get it actually, but
And
I
one
do
more
it all the
thing
time.
is the height of the camera. I have a little notebook and I raise it up. I would say it's about 8 to 10 inches, so that for the bottom of the notebook, so that the camera is about level with the top of my head, and it goes points down on me a little bit.
Yeah.
Any observations on the best way to do the camera?
Yes, I think you're spot on. Basically, if you're sitting straight up, you want that camera exactly eye level or a tiny bit higher to force your eyes to open up a little bit. You know, whereas if you've got the camera below your eyes are going to be closed a little bit, and you're going to get, as I call it, the puppy dog look, in which you don't really want the puppy dog look. Another little trick that I do to help keep your eyes on the camera so it really feels like you're talking to the person you're talking to is I take the tiniest little Post-it and I put it, this one just so happens to have a little happy face on it. Not that I'm a happy face girl, but I put this little tiny bright yellow Post-it right next to my camera because on my monitor, it's a black band around it with the camera in this black band, so I don't really see the camera. But if I see this bright yellow Post-it, I can just look at my bright yellow Post-it and you feel like I'm talking to you.
I think
So that's a really great little trick. Again, eye level, tiny bit higher than eye level.
All right, and we've got a wrap. And my guest for this show has been Shelly Golden. She's a Zoom makeover expert, and her website is shellygoldenstyle.com. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so
Great
much for
advice.
having me.